Each state has a wildly different food culture. But have you wondered what every state's specialty is? From desserts to savory delights, let's travel back to the 70s to discover the best America had to offer. Here we go. Pecan pie in the south of the USA have a deep history. Since pecans grow in the Alabama region, it's no surprise the pecan pie emerged as an iconic dish here. Keeping the elements of traditional pies but adding pecans created a great dessert. Baked salmon is a hallmark in Alaska. They have the Gold Creek Salmon Bake where you can go and catch some of your own fresh salmon. These salmon are native to the rainforests of southeast Alaska and are a culinary delight worth traveling for. In fact, making a nice, cozy salmon bake over an open alderwood fire is a core Alaskan tourist attraction. Chimichangas found a cozy place in the restaurants of Arizona. This Tuscan special almost became the state's national food because residents could not get enough of the dish. Who could blame them? A deep-fried burrito that you can personalize with fillings, toppings, meat, and vegetables sounded like heaven at the time. No wonder over 250 restaurants in Arizona during the 70s were serving chimichangas on their specials menu every day. In Arkansas, fried catfish is a regional hit. However, it actually has deep importance in soul food. The fish is easily available in the southern rivers of the USA, and a simple deep fry with pepper and salt created a beloved dinner. Fried catfish became so widely consumed that it's hard to not associate Arkansas with this fish. Avocado spread for toast is an iconic pairing that was commercialized in the 1970s. The flavors go together like they were made for each other. Californians served this spread as a breakfast item to customers, and it was met with instant success. Who would not want a healthy breakfast? Green chilies became a staple in Colorado, as Fabian Garcia, father of the New Mexican green chili, set up his farm in the state. The residents were quick to adopt this chili into their cuisine. Soon enough, every house was making the iconic green chili stew in Colorado. The stew became an instant hit amongst people who looked for a protein-heavy, spicy dinner that would satisfy their cravings. As for Fabian Garcia, he's still regarded as the pioneer of Colorado's chili cuisines. Connecticut is known for its steamed cheeseburgers. It is believed that the dish originated from Middletown. This is a cheeseburger with a succulent beef patty that has been steamed just right to maximize flavor. You would find the burger in stalls, restaurants, and burger joints. Scrapple is a dish that you will find pretty popular in Delaware, especially among the middle-aged crowd, but the dish had its roots in Germany and Netherlands. The dish usually incorporates pretty savory flavors like ground meat, spices, and buckwheat. Think of it like a spicy meat pudding. You can't pass Delaware and not pick up a bite of this. Key lime pie is a Floridian favorite. It gets its name and its fame both from the key limes that are native to the Florida region and is a sweet, tangy pie that you can find on the shelf of any bakery in Florida. It's popular with people of all ages and has been a staple of Florida's diet for decades. Peach cobblers dominate the baking scene in Georgia, but did you know they actually were something English settlers brought along with them when they first came to American colonies? At first, the structure of the pie was unfamiliar to cooks of the region, but bakers soon incorporated and improvised, taking what came and putting their own spin on it. Kahlua pork is fascinating both in its cooking process and final flavor. It uses an underground oven to slow-cook pork, which gives it a uniquely smoky flavor. You will not go to a single feast in Hawaii where this won't be served, especially a luau feast. These potato skins and this style of serving them became popularized around the mid-60s through several restaurants outside of Idaho. However, it has become a permanent fixture on Idaho menus. It works perfectly when it's 2 p.m. and you need a fantastic meal. Every single time you hear deep dish pizza, your mind goes straight to Chicago, doesn't it? Take a look over to Illinois for once too, because pizzerias there make an incredibly faithful deep dish pizza. This pizza, known for its incredibly thick crust, is one behemoth to take on even on an empty stomach, but it deserves its status as one of the most iconic foods of the States. The pork tenderloin sandwich was created by Nicholas Feinstein in Huntington, Indiana. Having originated from the state, the residents took a greater liking to it than most other sandwiches. They would state that the pork tenderloin sandwich was the best food Indiana has to offer. The sandwich was the perfect crossover between bread-based meat dishes and a burger. If you were in search of a sandwich to put you into a food coma, then this iconic staple from Indiana would not let you down. The Made-Right sandwich was a sloppy Joe before sloppy joes were popular in America. This sandwich has deep roots in Iowa, as the concept came into being when Fred Angel franchised his creation of a burger with loose, shredded meat instead of a patty. The sandwich was exactly the flavors the state is known for, and it encapsulated the kind of taste palette the locals prefer. Hot brown sandwiches are an open-faced sandwich that Kentucky is known for. The dish is just an explosion of all of America's favorite flavors. Crispy bacon, tomatoes, cheesy sauces, turkey, all served fresh and hot. This dish is exactly what you need when you think of having a crispy sandwich that ticks all your boxes. Gumbo consists of okra and different kinds of seafood, as it actually came to the USA all the way from West Africa when slaves were brought over. It is stated that this boil actually has its roots in several cultures. No one can know for sure, but if seafood is your fancy, then not having gumbo at least one is doing your senses and yourself a culinary disservice. The lobster roll had humble beginnings in a restaurant called Perry's in Connecticut, but it would find its way to Maine and find incredible popularity there as well. This roll served usually with scallions, greens such as chives, and a mayo dressing, all to complement the delectable lobster within the roll, is a treat to your eyes and mouth both. These plump, juicy crab cakes are known far and wide in Maryland. Greased with slightly melted butter, a crunchy exterior, and an interior that is soft and gooey, the crab cakes were a work of art. Mary Anders would often place them on a fish platter, or just eat them as it is. One thing is for sure, they loved their crab cakes more than any other appetizer the restaurant had to offer. The Boston cream pie is so beloved in Massachusetts that it eventually became their official state food. This pie is a creamy sponge cake that goes heavy on the vanilla and finishes with a chocolate ganache, a tried and tested combo that can't be beaten. It's one of the finest pastries the state has to offer, and it's iconic for a reason. So, you might be unfamiliar with coney dogs. At first, they stir up images of corn dogs or hot dogs, but it resembles a frankfurter that has been cradled in a steamed bun. The meat chili and diced onions paired with yellow mustard gave the coney dogs their own distinct flavor profile, making it one of Michigan's finest street foods. The tater tot hot dish was a dreamy mess of food in the 70s. Cracked pepper, rosemary, chopped onions, and a meaty casserole with tater tots became many kids' favorite food in Minnesota, having fond childhood memories of weekends attached with the hot dish. It was not just popular amongst tater tots loving children. Adults shared the same habit too because Minnesota locals can't get enough of this ground beef classic. The Mississippi mud pie is strongly associated with the state itself, both because of its color, taste, and some regional history. The great river that runs through the state has distinctly dark, muddy banks that most locals have fond memories of playing in next to. This cake, with its frosting and chocolate gooey interior, resembles those hues perfectly, and in taste it's a roller coaster of sweetness. A gift from Italian Americans, they may have been an accidental discovery because some stories go that the first iterations of this dish happened because a chef dropped a raviolo into a fryer and was pretty pleased with the result. These are the perfect appetizer, and you can pick and choose different fillings to spice up your experience. A gift from Italian Americans, they may have been an accidental discovery because some stories go that the first iterations of this dish happened because a chef dropped a raviolo into a fryer and was pretty pleased with the result. These are the perfect appetizer, and you can pick and choose different fillings to spice up your experience. Runza made a significant impact in Nebraska in the 1970s and has been a legendary sandwich ever since. A dough pocket filled with ground beef, cabbage, and onions took the state by storm. Though the sandwich originated from Europe, it found a new home in Nebraska where people started referring to the sandwich as a regional dish. Seafood first set foot in Nevada's casinos in the form of a 50-cent shrimp cocktail promotional deal. Chilled shrimp with a tangy cocktail sauce were an instant success amongst the crowds. By the 70s, iconic restaurants like the Golden Gate advertised themselves as places that serve shrimp cocktail. This drew people from all over the country to visit Nevada for its simple and unique shrimp cocktail. Apple cider is the official state beverage of New Hampshire, so it's no surprise that they create some of the best apple cider donuts. This delicacy, originally from New York, gained popularity in New Hampshire in the 70s, leading to widespread production of what many consider America's best cider donuts. New Hampshire even invested in donut machines to increase the production of this treat to meet public demands. Disco Freeze automatically remind people of late nights in the 70s that were spent partying the night away. This New Jersey classic established its legacy in the 1970s amongst young people at clubs who were looking to munch some snack-like foods during dance breaks. Crinkle-cut fries with mozzarella cheese and gravy seemed to be the perfect dish. It instantly became a crowd favorite and is known as an iconic creation from New Jersey. It's no surprise that the green chili stew had an iconic status in New Mexico. Known as the green chili capital of the world, this spicy stew ridden with green chilies took the state by storm. The sudden boost in popularity could be justified by the fact that in the 1970s, the state of New Mexico actively promoted green chilies as a local delicacy to improve local sales of chilies. New York-style pizza may as well be an edible slice of everything New York has to offer. The legendary status of this pizza peaked in the 70s when the dollar slice came into being. Pizzerias across New York started selling huge slices of pizza for $1 each. These thin, foldable, and now affordable slices of cheese pizza became a symbol of New York, a symbol that we still associate the state with. The moment Spanish settlers brought pigs into America, the region of North Carolina adopted them as an important source of protein. So it's no surprise that the local pulled pork BBQ recipe is considered to be the best way to cook up a pork BBQ. As BBQ restaurants started gaining popularity in the 70s, North Carolina's slow-cooked, spicy, and vinegary pulled pork BBQ became one of the most iconic ways to eat pork. Locals would even shred the pork up to create the greatest BBQ sandwiches in all of America. The 70s was an era when wheat cultivation in North Dakota was at its peak. The best use for when there's plenty of wheat? Use the flour to create a creamy soup with dumplings and potatoes. This led to the creation of no-fla soup, a perfect remedy for North Dakota's freezing temperatures. It was a perfect soup to help people get through the freezing temperatures of North Dakota. Buckeyes originated in Ohio around the 1970s when a resident by the name of Gail Tabor accidentally dipped peanut butter balls into chocolate. The candy looked similar to the fruit which grows on Buckeye trees in Ohio, and hence the dessert was named Buckeyes. This iconic food became another addition to a long list of Buckeye-themed items that the state of Ohio had to offer. The Oklahoma chicken fried steak was termed the favorite dish of Oklahoma in the 1970s. This thinly pounded chicken that is breaded and fried was served with gravy to CFS, chicken fried steak, enthusiasts across Oklahoma. It was often mistaken to be just another fried chicken recipe, but do not be fooled. Restaurants in Oklahoma would make it a point to list this dish down as a steak not fried chicken. Soon enough, this dish became strong competition to regular beef steaks. Straight from Marion City, Oregon, the Marionberry pie was the newest pie in town. Had you walked into a local bakery in 1930 and asked for Marionberry pie, they'd be puzzled. This is because Marionberries did not even exist until the 1940s. Oregon started the production of this hybrid blackberry that took the grocery stores by storm in the 1970s. With newer fruits come newer pies. And so the Marionberry pie became a classic dessert in Oregon. You cannot mention Pennsylvania without the Philly cheesesteak. Thinly sliced steak with cheese on a hoagie roll was the invention of brothers Pat and Harry Oliveri. Owners of a hot dog stand in South Philadelphia, they wanted to come up with newer sandwich options. They introduced grilled beef and onions on bread as a newer option. By the 70s, cheese was added to the mix, and the Philly cheesesteak sandwich was the go-to order for every person looking for a filling lunch. Clam cakes are a summer tradition in Rhode Island. Locals trace the clam cake's history back to Aunt Carrie's, a seafood restaurant in Narragansett, who decided to serve fried dough balls with clams inside. It seemed that adding fresh clams into corn fritters was a great idea, as it quickly took over Rhode Island, with dozens of people lining up to try this incredible recipe. When the Charleston Book Press was publishing a recipes cookbook in 1950s in South Carolina, they had no idea that the creamy shrimp and grits recipe embedded in one of the pages would become a massive hit. Shrimps and grits first appeared on the page of this cookbook, and by 1976, it became the most popular breakfast item in households across South Carolina. The popularity was so extreme that in that same year, shrimp and grits was declared as South Carolina's official state food. Chislic is a dish unique to South Dakota. The dish had a simple preparation of cutting up red meat into cubes, then either grilling it or deep frying the meat. Chislic was brought to the state by a German-Russian man named John Holworth. While South Dakota found the dish to be delicious, the other states did not agree. Hence, Chislic remained within the bounds of this state. Tennessee's Nashville hot chicken is as iconic as it gets. The commercialization of fried chicken restaurants in the 70s allowed for this spicy, crispy fried chicken to grow in popularity amongst people in Tennessee. The spicy fried chicken was a local soul food that many African American communities consumed in Tennessee before it became commercialized into the American market. The perfect slow-cooked, smoky beef brisket can only be found in one state, Texas. Known for its iconic BBQ, the Texas brisket was adopted by restaurants in the 70s as a main dish. Before that, there was only one restaurant in Lockhart that served BBQ brisket exclusively. When restaurants in neighboring areas noticed the sheer hype that this form of BBQ generated, they started serving up high-quality briskets, making the Texas brisket an iconic staple food. By the 1970s, sweet Jell-O salads were all the jazz in Utah. Made using various fruits and packets of sugary Jell-O, Utah had dedicated salad bars where you could create this rather unhealthy salad. With the rise of health and food critics in the 80s, this salad met its demise in the food world. In the 1970s, Vermont produced 300,000 gallons of maple syrup. This iconic sweet syrup made from maple tree sap became a defining item for Vermont. It also helped in the economic development of the state as they became mass producers of maple syrup. By the 80s, this syrup was added to just about any food that was served up in Vermont. Virginia's iconic Smithfield ham is a salt-cured country ham that was created by a Captain Todd in Smithfield. Known for its distinct salty and smoky taste, the Smithfield ham is one of the best-tasting hams produced in America. Virginia also happens to be one of the biggest ham exporters in America because of the Smithfield ham. The Washington geoduck is a large, flavorful clam that has been harvested by residents for years in Washington. But it finds its place on this list because in the 1970s, Washington Department of National Resources legalized the commercial harvest of wild geoducks. With this, these flavorful clams started showing up at just about every restaurant in Washington. Soft rolls stuffed with pepperonis are a dream snack for people in West Virginia. Pepperoni rolls first emerged as a popular lunch that coal miners would eat as the protein and fats would keep them energized. In the 70s, local bakeries started producing pepperoni rolls and selling them to locals, cementing this snack as an iconic lunch in West Virginia. Cheese curds first arrived in Wisconsin in the 1800s. These fresh cheese curds did not find popularity until the late 1900s, when Wisconsin commercialized their dairy industry. By the 1970s, there were over 2,500 cheese factories in Wisconsin alone. Their number one selling item were the cheese curds that found their way into just about any local recipe. A rather interesting choice of meat, Wyoming opted to use bison as the star of their burgers. Local diner joints started selling a burger made with lean bison meat and topped with cheese to customers. Quickly, this burger became an iconic item found primarily in Wyoming, attracting hundreds of people from all over America. Do these iconic foods from all over America stir up tasty memories for you? If so, like this video, click subscribe, and stay tuned for more nostalgia trips.